Okay, so a long time ago, Aristotle said these very profound words, and they remain as important today as they always have been. Why? Because metaphor is a very powerful tool for understanding and participating in our world. Metaphor makes complex concepts clear and brings theoretical ideas to life. But they also shape us, influence us, and change our behaviors. For example, time. The Mayan culture saw time as cyclical, refreshing, and renewing. Western culture sees it more as linear. We save it, we waste it, we spend it, and as such, that influences our behavior on speeding up. We want to get faster and faster and squeeze out this scarce commodity. So what metaphors do we use in our industry? Teachers, or as James Hollis asks, what fiction is our truth? Do you see yourself in any of these metaphors? Do our students? And are we aware of how our students perceive us? And what about our students? Is the way you see your students the way they see themselves? Research seems to suggest, no, they don't. They don't see themselves as plants or containers. And so how does that, funnily enough, how does that influence what we do and the dynamic we create in our classroom? And although we agree that metaphor is very, very important and we act and react to it, the scary thing is that we're often very unconscious of them. We borrow them from our society, from our peers, from our environment, and they can in fact disempower us in many ways. And in the words of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, what remains unconscious owns us. So today I'd like to share you my journey of the unconscious to the conscious of my own teaching beliefs. What has helped define me and what I do in the classroom, in my favorite metaphor of all, the fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was a princess who lived on a beautiful island. She loved her home, but she was bored. Her island was wrapped in clouds, and she could vaguely see other islands out there, but she couldn't experience them. So one day, she decided to leave. She got a job in a faraway village and said goodbye to all of her friends and family. And when she got to the new island, she realized she had been put in charge of knowledge, a director of knowledge, in fact. And although she was flattered and pleased, she was also terrified and had no idea what to do. So she went to the village wizard and asked for help. The wizard asked her to think of her experiences and to draw an object that might help her. She thought of her past teachers, and the image of a jug and a fountain came to mind. So she quickly drew her images, showed the wizard, who promptly turned her into a jug. She was thrilled. She grew tall and felt purposeful. Everything made sense, and she spent her evenings filling herself up and her days pouring herself out. And after a while, though, she started looking more closely at her students. They didn't seem to be enjoying themselves as much as she'd expected. She realized they had turned into mugs. She towered over them and felt a distance she couldn't put a finger on. She felt threatened when she met one that was already quite full. And she was dismayed at how many seemed to have little secret spouts that siphoned off what she had just poured in. So she went to another wizard named Yates. And she explained that she was fighting a losing battle, and that some of her best days had been when she'd forgotten that she was a jug. She liked it when students poured information into their own mugs, and they kind of came to glow a little bit. Aha, he said, I know what to do. And he turned her into a box of matches. Again, she was thrilled. She felt spontaneous and daring, and she couldn't wait to set her mugs on fire. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Some of her mugs burst into flame right away. However, disappointment was still following behind her. Many of her mugs didn't want to catch fire, and although they came to appreciate being set aglow, they missed her jug. The other problem was that sometimes fire was created out of control, so they used their fuel until there was nothing left to burn. Eventually, she began to notice something behind the flames, something equally important to the fire. And excitedly, she ran off to find Carl, the Swiss wizard. She explained her situation, and he listened carefully. He asked her what she wanted him to do. She chose her words carefully, took a deep breath, and asked to be turned into a sundial. A special one, though, without a gnomon. What's a gnomon? Asked the wizard. He was very clever, but not up on the Lexus of sundials. That thing that the shadow makes. But sundials don't work without their gnomon, the wizard said, happily trying out the new word that he just learned. Ah, the princess explained, my students will be the gnomon to my sundial. My classes will shine on their knowledge, and the shadows they cast will point me clearly to both what they do know and, more importantly, what they don't know. You see, the gaps in their shadows will show me where the teaching is needed. And if I get my students to see their shadows, the most mystical and powerful of all learning potions can be created. There's a potion that helps people learn? Yes, said the princess. It's a very special potion and it's hard to create, but it's called the need to know. And there are two types. Type 1 the teacher makes, but type 2, the teacher helps the students make themselves. Ah, I understand, said the wizard. And he did as the princess asked, and he turned her into a sundial. And she lived happily ever after, for now, basking in the sun, helping her students cast their shadows, and creating the need to know potion. Wait.
Wait.
So now you've heard, oh, that was too fast. So now you've heard my journey, and my fairy tale to express my journey, and my effort to make my metaphors conscious. So I ask, what about you? What fiction is your truth? What are your metaphors? And most importantly, do you own them, or do they own you?